But everyone, hello, Learning Geeks. Welcome to the Jam class today. If I haven't met you yet, I am Amanda, founder of Learning Jam Club, and I will be your host today. So if you're new here, the Jam classes are all about sparking ideas, sharing geeky tools and knowledge, and also showing what's possible in the learning experience, design, process, and space. So, as I introduced, we have the incredible Tanya, founder of ETEach, joining us today as a Learning Geek expert. But before we hand it over to the lovely Tanya, I just want to share a bit of some Jam class kindness. So again, please use the comments during the Jam class, ask questions. I will be monitoring the chit chat. We are here because of good vibes only. And also, this session is recorded. So if you are interested in rewatching the playback, I will post it up on our YouTube channel and you can watch it there. And also, again, final note, this Jam class is to inspire you. I want you to walk away feeling so excited to learn new things and also just to have fun in the learning process along the way. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Tanya.
Thank you. Yeah.
One moment. Let me just use this new tech shiny tool that I'm trying to figure out still, and I will remove myself. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda. I am so honored to be hosted on your awesome platform, the Learning Jam Club. This is so much fun, you guys. I'm so happy to see you all joining in from so many different places. So today, I was thinking the other day how I wanted to start off this session with you guys. And I was thinking, oh, maybe I should explain the value of storytelling to them. And in that moment, I had like the 200th registration come in, a notification come in. And then it hit me. I was like, they don't need to understand the value of storytelling. Everybody that has been registering at this rate, it's because you guys already know how powerful storytelling is. You know that nothing quite enthralls you into a moment or can have the power to even change you emotionally or change your actions the way that a good story can do that, whether that be in a film or in a good book. But so I don't think the problem is that we don't understand the value of storytelling. And I mean, at this point, we have almost 500 people who registered for this event. So obviously you guys understand the value of it. I think the problem is that storytelling can get really overcomplicated, or it can be this thing that's like mystified, where we think it's something only creative people can do, or, it's something that can't be learned. It's something that you either have a talent for or you don't, right? And I just don't agree with that in most cases. I mean, Amanda's kind of like an outlier where I look at her graphic designs and I'm thinking she's just naturally talented at that. I don't know if you can learn to be that good at it. But honestly, I think with most things, you can learn it. It's a process. It's a craft. It's something that can be broken down simply. You can learn and you can teach it to others, right? I actually have always loved storytelling. I was a film major in school, and I worked on TV, multimedia for the beginning part of my career before I transitioned to e-learning. But I even myself like really overcomplicated what storytelling is. It's like, hey, what even is that, right? So what we're going to do today is I want us to break this down. It's more simply, right? To start it all off, I do have this free one-pager that you guys can scan this QR code. I can also send in the chat a link so you guys can get it. I'll send that over in a second here. But this is basically so that you can take everything that we talk about today and apply it into your instructional designs after the session is over. That way, if you forget something, you come back to this, come back to what the basics of storytelling are that we're talking about today, and the 4 AI tools that I'm presenting that can help you streamline the content creation process, building stories into your learning designs. It's not required for you guys to have that one pager up, by the way. I'm going to go back one more second. You can have this up now. You can just bring it up later. After you put in your email, you can download it, or you'll get it in your email as well, so you can look at it later. Okay, so let's just jump into crafting our story. Let's break it down simply. Philip Hum, he's an author of this book called Storytelling for Business, and he has my favorite definition for what a good story is. A good story is about a moment when a person faces a challenge that changes how they think, feel, or act. So underneath that definition, we have my 4 essentials for good instructional storytelling. So we have a relatable character, so that aligns with person, a realistic setting or moment, a conflict that creates tension or choice, that's the challenge, and a clear consequence of that decision that inspires change, right? So these are the essential ingredients when you're thinking about building a good story for instructional design. This is particularly for e-learning. You want to have a relatable character, a realistic setting, a conflict that creates tension, and a clear consequence of your decision or action. When we're talking about instructor-led trainings, however, you can just go with Phillips Hum's definition here, where you just want to storytell, kind of how I did at the beginning of this session. I said, I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. And that's when I started to think, it hit me that they don't need to think that deeply about the value of storytelling, right? So I think what you want to do is that you want to talk about a moment when you, the person, or whoever the person is in the story, has a challenge. What should I talk about? That, and then they have a moment of realization that changes how they think, feel, or act, right? So let's jump into building a good story together. Let's pretend that we work for a coffee shop chain. Let's call it Sundough instead of Starbucks, right? It's called Sundough. And we're responsible for training store managers on keeping brand identity consistent, right? So you have multiple locations and you don't want the customer experience to be when they go to the one in town A to be more negative than when they go to the one in town B. You want a consistent brand experience for your customer. So the challenge here is that the store manager is juggling lots of employee personalities. And they're juggling lots of operational things like the drive-through and the cleanliness and keeping the consistency and the quality of not just customer interactions, but also the goods, the service. So they have a lot on their plate. So that's the challenge when it comes to training the store manager. And there's different personalities, right? So all of those things have to be taken into consideration. So already we have the character is the store manager, and we know the challenge already and the setting, which is the coffee shop, right? So let's say that the modality that we're going to choose is an immersive 360-degree environment. Why we would choose this is because you can really simulate the chaos of being in the store, right? Where you have all of the different moving parts. You have customers, you have the baristas who are trying to talk to you. You have the drive-through in the back. So that way we can simulate a more realistic setting. And we're going to get more into this in just a minute. Another thing that we're doing is for the main character of our story, we're going to put the learner in the first-person perspective, the first-person point of view. And that's a way of giving an emotional empathy kind of feeling to this, where the learner is already empathizing because they're seeing the world from their perspective, right? So we could have a main character where we see like the cartoon of them, or they could be a character like this. Or another option would be putting the learner in the first person perspective, right? So we're going to talk more about this, but the AI tool that I used for that. But first, let's go over what we already know. We have our relatable character, which is the coffee shop manager. And we have a realistic setting, which is the coffee shop itself. So the way we're making our character relatable, how do we do that? How do we make our character relatable? Is that emotional connection. So one of the things that you can do in any kind of storytelling, whether it be e-learning, instructor-led training, telling a story just face-to-face, is you want to invite the learner into how you were feeling, how the character is feeling in the moment. So you can share their inner dialogue. That can be the worries that they have, any doubts that they have, any decisions that they're dreading making, right? So that's really important when you have a relatable character, is there has to be some kind of emotional pull towards them. By the way, I talk really fast, you guys, so I'm going to try to slow it down because I know that that's a thing for me. The second thing is, how do you create a realistic setting, not just any setting? Well, when it comes to creating a setting for e-learning, you want to take into consideration the real life day-to-day challenges that that manager of the store is facing. What does their environment really look like? Is it messy? Is there people trying to talk to them while somebody has dropped the coffee machine on the ground and there's cups everywhere? Like, what's actually happening? So you want to simulate that realism and that relatability to create an emotional connection between the learner and their main character. Because we know that neurologically speaking, people perk up and pay attention when they feel an emotion. An emotion signals to the brain, pay attention, this is important. So we want to create emotion. We want to simulate and incite an emotion in our learners, right? So moving into the first AI tool for today, that how we created that 360-degree environment is using this AI tool. It's my favorite. It's called Skybox AI by ElevenLabs. And this is one way for e-learning that you can create a realistic setting. Is you can use AI tools like Midjourney or ChatGPT image generation or Canva's Magic Media or Skybox to create a visual setting, right? So what's really cool about Skybox is that it's really an immersive setting where you can, let the learner actually be inside of an environment and look around, and it incites more or entices them to interact with their environment more, right? And this type of environment will be great when you have location-specific trainings, or if there's like a sequence of events that has to occur for the learner related to a specific location, right? All right, so when it comes to the realistic setting, if we're not talking e-learning, you can still do this, again, like an instructor-led training, by doing these three simple things. You state the location in your story, you state an action, and you add an emotional cue. So let's talk about that. So you could say during your story, at the coffee shop I manage. You're bringing the learners into a location. Okay, I know where I'm at. I'm at a coffee shop. You state an action. I was unlocking the door in the morning. So that action, it immerses the learner in where are we and what are we doing. And then the emotional cue. I was unlocking the door in the morning and it was 5 a.m. The sun was rising. Or it was dawn. The sun hadn't even risen yet. So what we're doing is we're giving this emotional cue that it's really early in the morning. So our coffee shop manager is opening the store at 5 a.m. So how might they be feeling? They might be pretty tired, right? So it creates an open door for empathy and understanding of that situation. So another way you could simulate this, it's early and I'm probably tired for the learner, is when they click on their iPad to look at the KPIs when they're in their coffee shop. It could say it's 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the top corner. So it's just an emotional cue there of like, hey, it's really early in the morning and I have to think about brand consistency and how I'm going to reprimand or not reprimand this current employee who got a negative review yesterday, right? Another way that you create a realistic setting or moment is with having realistic character dialogue. So in most stories and in most real life situations, there's other people, there's side characters, right? And the way that they talk to you should seem natural. So when you have a character in your e-learnings, who maybe you could click on one of these baristas and she has something to say to you, instead of her saying, I'm so stressed, like this flat language that nobody really speaks like that, you could have her say, morning, we're all out of oat milk and, Alex seems pretty grumpy today. That might be the type of language that someone would hear on the job naturally. So it can immerse them more so into this environment, having that realistic dialogue. Okay. So when it comes to a good AI tool that you can use to create a realistic moment, you can use generative AI tools like Poe AI. So you can also use ChatGPT or Gemini. And you can use these tools to brainstorm ideas for conflict, consequences, dialogue, situations for characters. A lot of you might have used Poe AI before. So what's really cool about it is when you first open it up, you have all of the different generative AI tools that you can try located in one place, right? So here you can see on the left-hand side that you can navigate to other AI tools like Claude. And you can compare which AI tool gave you the best response or which answers you like best, all from one centralized location. I think Quora created this, it's such a cool tool. So you can see here that I used it to help me come up with conflict ideas. I ended up going with what ChatGPT did for me, but help me come up with conflict ideas for a coffee shop chain store manager on maintaining brand consistency. And you can see, inconsistent service styles. So employees might adopt different service styles. The drive-through customers might receive priority over in-store customers, leading to frustration and perceived neglect. So these are all great ideas that you can just use to brainstorm. And what's really cool, what I like about using these tools is sometimes it does something that's so off that you're like, oh, it gives you a different idea. You're like, that doesn't work because, oh, now I know what I want to go with. But honestly, a lot of the time, it gives really amazing ideas, especially with ChatGPT. I've had great results. So that's Poe AI. The third AI tool is ElevenLabs. So when it comes to that realistic dialogue, a lot of e-learning trainings, you might notice when there is the voiceovers, they can sound quite robotic and unnatural. And that can really take you out of a learning experience. So what I love about ElevenLabs is how natural the voices sound, and that you can also do sound effects from here as well. So for instance, for this example, I did like a coffee shop ambience sound for the sound effects. And like, you could hear the coffee machines whirring. I also had coffee shop music playing that I generated in the sound effects. And for the text to speech, it's really, really good. It sounds natural. So I'm going to show you what it came out like, but you have all of these different options. You can choose a different voice. You can change the style exaggeration or the speed of the voice. If I was doing this to myself, I'd make myself speak slower probably. But so this is a really powerful tool for making a natural sounding voice or sound effect. This is what it turned out to be like. Hopefully it plays. Oh, it's not playing. What about, oh, I think I'm muted. I'll come back. So this sounds really good, right? I thought that came out really natural. It's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot better. Yeah.
Sorry, Tanya, we couldn't hear it.
Oh, really? Oh, no. Okay, so, I feel so bad. I could hear it. Okay. Maybe we could send it some other way.
We will loop it back. We will loop this back later. Continue.
Okay. So, when it comes to a conflict that creates tension, also, Amanda, feel free to jump in if there's any questions in the chat or from yourself. But when it comes to a conflict that creates tension, we want to make sure that we're creating relevant tension, considering what is really going on in the coffee shop manager's life, right? And what's really cool is that with e-learning, we have an opportunity to do to create consequences and have the learner experience a negative effect of a wrong choice in a safe place. With storytelling, you can do the exact same thing where you can draw someone into an emotion. For instance, I had to decide, I'm the store manager, I have to decide if I'm going to reprimand this guy for getting a negative review yesterday and what my approach is going to be for that. And if you can do storytelling properly, then maybe your heart will start racing when you're thinking about scolding this person. Or, maybe you're making a really costly mistake on the job and you lost $1 million in the simulated situation. And you could emotionally feel like, dang, just like when you're playing a video game, right? So that's something that you want to think about. And then you also want to share that inner world, that inner dialogue that the main character has. So for example, when they see the negative review, when they're clicking on the iPad and seeing the negative reviews from yesterday, the main character could have a text box come up that has their inner dialogue. Oh man, Alex was rude to a customer yesterday. That's not how I wanted to start the day. And again, we're just creating that emotional tension. Yeah, so what we're seeing here in this scenario is that there's a lot of moving parts at this coffee shop. They have to juggle the drive-through, the customers, the employees, how to deal with conflict, all these things at the same time. And that in and of itself creates a tension. But as a learning designer, it can also create a question of like, how am I going to organize this properly? Like a branching scenario, right? So that brings us to the fourth AI tool that I want to talk about today, which is Whimsical AI. So this is a really simple way that you can visualize your branching scenarios, and you can instantly build out a decision tree that you can tweak or color code, right? So what I did when I got onto Whimsical AI and I created a new board, there's this little sparkle icon, and when you click that, you can use AI to generate your decision tree. So I wrote in e-learning branching scenario for a coffee shop manager that has to decide whether to conduct the morning huddle or not. If not, it corrects him and asks him to try again. Then the decision becomes to whether or not to take the morning huddle in the customer table area or in the back storage room. So it's helping to visualize what the branching scenario will look like before you jump in and start creating it in storyline. So what I think is really, really cool about this is that it not only helps you visualize the consequences in your story, but it's an asset that you have that you can showcase on an instructional design portfolio. So I think a lot of instructional designers already know how valuable it is to have an instructional design portfolio, but a lot of IDs just don't have a lot of time to work on a good standout ID portfolio. And one of the main characteristics of a portfolio that stands out is that you showcase your design thinking process. So that includes like wireframes, storyboards, mind maps. If you can showcase the way that you thought and approached your design, then on a storyboard, then that's really powerful and that really stands out. So you can use a tool like Whimsical AI to accomplish that, where you have a really fast way to create your mind map and showcase that on an ID portfolio. So that actually brings me to, I have a special offer for everybody on this call today. I've been in coaching and working with instructional designers for years now, and I've gained a lot of insight into what makes an instructional design portfolio stand out. So I have this program that's called the 12-hour shortcut to a standout ID portfolio. The emphasis being in 12 hours because so many IDs are juggling. When you're working ID, you're juggling so many hats. You have so many responsibilities as an instructional designer. It feels like 5 jobs instead of 1 job. So you don't have a lot of time to upskill on the job. And then on top of that, even if you're transitioning into instructional design, you probably are already employed or you have a family at home and you have a lot going on, right? So it can be really hard to find the time to create a standout ID portfolio. So the way that I'm able to help instructional designers with that is we leverage AI, kind of like all these tools that we talked about today. It's a way of speeding up the process. So I don't know if I mentioned this, but when it comes to like 360-degree scenarios, I used to create those on the job using a camera, using like a physical GoPro Max camera. I'd go on site, I'd have talent on site, and we'd capture these 360 scenarios. And that would be like 50 to 80 hours of work. But when you have an AI tool like Skybox, you can generate a 360 image in a couple of minutes that will work for your project. And that entire process of creating a scenario with Skybox instead of on camera, 10 hours, 12 hours, maybe like 10 hours max. And then this program is called the 12-hour shortcut because we also include time to strategically create a portfolio as well as showcases the skills that you upskill in the program, which is like AI prompt engineering and all of that. So the other way is that another thing that I've noticed a lot with instructional designers is that there tends to be, with creative types, it can be hard to contain all of our ideas and to make decisions. So that can leave projects unfinished, right? So that's why this program also has a container with specific project constraints that helps just eliminate the guesswork and gives you specific guidance on exactly what you want to do to accomplish your project and finish it in 12 hours and have it hosted on your portfolio. For the bonuses, I have a lot of bonuses for this program currently. So you also get the ID Job Hunt bundle. So if you need any guidance with job hunting, the VR-friendly learning lessons. So that's how do you upload a 360 immersive scenario to a VR headset? What's the tool that you would use to accomplish that? And then a library of AI tutorials and demos about lots of different AI tools that instructional designers specifically can use to leverage and speed up their workflow, including storyboarding tools, things like that. And then you also have Ask Tanya access, so that way you can have direct contact with me. You'll get a response from me, and then monthly live Q&As with the other IDs that are in the program as well. So like I said, this is the special offer. It's the pre-sale. The pre-sale actually ends like technically Thursday night, but today, this is the last time I'm offering it. I usually offer these on my discovery calls, but the course by the end of the year, it's going to be at $9.99, but currently it's at $6.90 flat just for the pre-sale, which is ending on Thursday. So if you want to join, you can scan this code to see more information on what's inside the course. I can also send the link in the chat. Let me find that here. Just a moment. Or you can also do a payment plan if you want to join in at $158 for 5 months. So that's $100 more than the flat fee because it can hurt the business to do the payment plan. But I still wanted to offer the flexible payment option for those who would rather pay in a smaller chunk. So that's the QR code. Oh, another bonus for anybody who joins tonight. I'm in Florida Eastern time. So within the next 5 hours, if anybody joins, you also get the free one-on-one coaching call with me. So that's an exclusive offer for anybody who joins tonight. And these are some of my clients. For instance, like Alina, she was working as an instructional designer, and she said that the program changed her life. She no longer had to fear that she was going to lose her job because she was adamantly avoiding Storyline 360. She didn't want to learn it. She found it overwhelming. But then she was able to showcase her first immersive scenario using Storyline 360. And, that really helped her with her relationship with her boss. So she was able to accomplish that in just a couple of weeks. And I thought, I love working with you guys. This community is so much fun. Learning designers, they're creative, they're compassionate, they care about others, about spreading knowledge. And it's so much fun. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Tanya Andraste Beniquez on LinkedIn, and I'd love to chat. You can always send me an email if you guys need anything, have any questions. So I am coming back to the chat now, and I'm going to toss it back over to Amanda soon, and maybe we'll have some time for Q&A. But I just wanted to say I'm so grateful, Amanda, that you've hosted me on your platform. If anybody wants to see more of the Learning Gen Club, you can subscribe to them. She's also a great coach. She gave me some really great advice the first time that we ever spoke about my business, she's really great at empowering female business owners. So if you ever want to do something, if anybody on here wants to start a business or maybe do something kind of like what I do with having an online course, you could also DM Amanda and you can talk to her about getting a free 20-minute coaching call. All right, Amanda.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. You didn't have to plug me, but thank you.
I'm happy to.
Thank you, amazing learning geeks, and thank you to the incredible Tanya. We have time for Q&A. So
Yes.
If you would like to know more about the tools or any of the cool resources and to pick Tanya's brain, definitely drop some questions in the comments and I will highlight it on screen. I think we have one from, where is it? Here you go. I'm going to show it on screen, Tanya, but we had one from Miranda. Do you want to answer this question?
Oh yeah. Can you start a Skybox from scratch instead of choosing a model? Oh, that's really interesting. So the way that it works, and maybe since we have time, I might be able to show you guys. But do I have time to do that?
You have ample time, girl. Go for it.
Okay. I'm going to show you, Miranda. Let me see. I have to log in. Oh, I hate that. So basically, you can, once you click within one of these boxes, I'm going to just share the screen so you guys can see this. I love Skybox. Let me see here.
I've never used it before. It looks super cool.
Right? Let me open it up over here. There we go. Okay, does that look good, Amanda?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay, so when you open it up, on the home page, you have all of these different examples of different skyboxes. So you can click any one of these. It doesn't matter because on the bottom right-hand corner here, you can actually choose the style that you want. So I wonder if this answers your question, Amanda. Could let me know, but instead of choosing a model. So that way you always have to choose like the style that you want to go with. And for e-learning, most of the time you probably want to go with a realistic style, right? So you'd go to Model 3 Realistic and choose that. Or you could go to Model 3 Photo Real. There's also one called Cinematic Realism that you can choose. Photo Render works. So you want to get like a realistic style. And then you can prompt in, if anybody wants to see a live demo, we can, and it has an idea for a learning scenario, we can put in something here and you guys can see what it's like.
Awesome. That's really, really cool. We have, I hope that answers your question, Miranda. But if not, I'll move on to the next one. We have a question from Regan.
Yes. Okay, I have a question. You mentioned games. How important do you think it is that we do that, creatives get regular hands-on with video games to grow and learn? Oh, I love that question. That's such a cool question. I think if you want to be a standout instructional designer who knows how to gamify their learning, you should be doing your homework and you should probably be playing games. That's such a good excuse to play games. I love that, to play video games. I don't think it's like maybe not necessary, but if you want to make that your niche, then yeah, definitely play games and study that.
So fun. I love games.
I know. My husband always makes fun of me because I say, oh, I want to play this game so bad, like whatever game. And then I never play because I just feel like I'm going to get sucked in and never stop.
Oh, yeah. You go into like a vortex. If anyone plays like Teamfight Tactics, call me. Or Valorant. All right. Next one, we have Sophie. Can you talk more about your process using a Gen AI or Whimsical to create scenarios?
Sure. So with Whimsical, I just discovered this tool, and the only two ways that I have thought to use it is to visualize my branching scenario, or to showcase how I visualize my branching scenario on a portfolio. When it comes to using generative AI in general to create scenarios, the process would be I'd first jump into something like ChatGPT or Poe, right? And I'd brain dump my idea into there, and anything where I have gaps, like what would be an example of a conflict that they would face. Then I would fill in those gaps, working it out with ChatGPT, right? And then from there, because if I don't have a subject matter expert, right? Like if I'm creating a project where I don't have a subject matter expert, that's when I would go in there first. Then the next thing would be creating my storyboard. So I have this GPT that I customized, or configured in ChatGPT that creates storyboards for me. So I told it, like, I want this many cells, and in the first cell, this is how I want you to structure it. In the cell with interactivity, use language from storyline, like trigger, blah, blah, blah. And so I'll use that tool to create the storyboard for me. Then I'll kind of like look at it all at once, and it does it in a couple of seconds. So then I'll just kind of look at it all at once and then refine it. I'll give it that human touch. You can also use a tool like, what's it called? Like there's one called Boards that you could use for storyboarding. I'll put it in here. And another one called ElevenLabs. that are cool tools for storyboards. After storyboarding, I start generating my visuals using a tool like Skybox or Canva's Magic Media or ChatGPT's image generation to create all the visual assets, or I'll create the audio assets as well in ElevenLabs, or I might do the audio assets in Storyline with their Storyline AI tool. And then once I have all of my assets ready to go, then I jump into Storyline and I put it all together. I might use Storyline's AI. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
That's a pretty cool workflow.
Yes.
I hope that answers your question, Sophie. We have another one from Nabila. I'm new to the ID world. Which tools do you recommend that I start with to build my portfolio? Ooh.
Which tools do you recommend to start with to build my portfolio? Okay, so I would say that you should start with your free trial on Storyline, because most of the jobs that you're going to be applying for are going to require that you use Storyline. So you might as well have a sample immediately with Storyline in your portfolio, even if you have one sample that's really, really good with Storyline. And underneath that sample, you like really showcase your design thinking. Like, and you do your information architecture really well, where it's like, this is the process that I took to design this underneath that project. You could get interviews with a project like that, as long as you like really give love to it and think it through. So I would say start with Storyline, and then to host it, you could use Moodle. Moodle's a cloud it's like a free LMS platform that you can try if you don't have any experience with LMS. And you can also host your projects on Amazon Web Services, AWS.
I can also share some tools that I use as well. I'm going to share you a funny story. My first ever job that I got as an instructional designer, this was probably 8 years ago. I have never used Storyline in my life. So I started as a facilitator, learning and development, doing end-to-end onboarding, training, and creating the modules. But I really didn't play in the e-learning space as much. But I really wanted to hyper-focus and really build my skills in digital learning. So the first job, they asked for a sample. I have never used Storyline. I think I was using Lectora, if anybody knows, the OG Lectora back then. That was probably my first e-learning tool. And I just downloaded the trial and I went onto freepik.com and also Flat Icon, and I grabbed some graphics to create like an island. And I just mushed together a little bullying and harassment training module where people could explore the islands and different like scenarios. And it was just a mock-up, really. It was just a mock-up. But then I sent it to them like, here you go, here's a sample. I aligned it to their branding. And then I got the job. So that was me bootlegging and bootstrapping the tools. But I think going back to the point of once you really understand your intended audience, the content, and what you're trying to create through storytelling. I'm a deep believer in the power of storytelling. So for me, it's really about taking something out of context, putting it to context. So with bullying and harassment, rather than just laying out all of the content in dot points and just the policy-driven kind of style of learning, I pitched it as of course, point of view, learner perspective, going into this beautiful world and experiencing different scenarios and really gauging those gray areas of bullying and harassment. So have fun with it, I think. There's so many free resources out there. You don't have to pay for tools to build your portfolio. It's really understanding what kind of role you're applying for through to maybe what clients you're trying to pitch for, creating examples that are probably relevant to that problem that you're trying to achieve, and go from there.
I love how you aligned it to them too. Like you were just like, I'm going to whip something together. I have a cool idea and I'm going to align it to the job I'm targeting. I think that's so cool.
just give it a crack, have fun. Worst case, you don't get the job, but at least you have a sample that you can use for another job. Yeah, that's it. I think the hardest bit is taking that first step, right? A lot of people don't take that first step to try anyway, but give it a crack. There's lots of free resources out there and have fun with it. Learning doesn't have to be boring. Awesome. Any other questions? I think that possibly is it. Amelia is going off in the chat. She is a gamification guru. Anyone, so if you are ever curious, definitely check out Amelia's work. She has some pretty cool stuff there. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, last thoughts, anyone? Learning geeks, anything else for Tanya? Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining today. If you are interested in more upcoming sessions, I will be running a few in October. Stay tuned, subscribe to the Learning Jam Club, and we are so grateful that you showed up today. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Amanda, and thank you guys. This was so much fun. Thanks for all of your questions. This was great. So happy to be here.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to try and fade out with music. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Fading out.